Saturn and Neptune are both entering Aries this summer for a brief preview, and what this is going to show is not subtle. As I'm filming this, Neptune has already entered Aries. Sorry, I'm a little late, but Saturn hasn't yet, so I'm hoping to get this out around the end of May, early June. And over this period of the summer, once this fully happens, we're getting a once-in-a-lifetime experience that will more fully begin in early 2026. So in this video, I'm going to break down what exactly Saturn and Neptune in Aries means this summer, then when they're firmly in that sign starting next year. And I'm going to get into what it means specifically for you based on your sign. So we're going to go through the planetary meanings, the combination, the historical precedent for what's happened in the past, and then what it means for you. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Maren. I make videos on astrology. I also make music. I'm in movies. So whenever you're watching this, check out whatever I've done, because I do other things. But also if you want a reading from me, I do offer readings, and you can find that link below. So firstly, I'm going to explain Saturn, and I'm going to explain Neptune, and then, how they are in Aries. So if you're not already familiar with the planets are kind of like actors, and they represent certain themes, and you can think of them kind of like actors that take on certain roles of the signs, but each actor comes in with certain characteristics. So Saturn is the planet of seriousness. If you're going to think of Saturn in any way, it's an old man teaching you lessons, being very wise. Saturn is about rigidity, about boundaries, about maturity, about hard work, and whatever sign it is in usually represents the lessons that us as a collective are learning about that kind of behavior. So Neptune, on the other hand, is very, very different. Neptune, you can think of like this watery, dreamlike, transcendental planet that represents spirituality and faith and experiences that are emotional or transcendental rather than literal. So Neptune is more the planet of literally fantasy and overwhelming emotion and transcendental experiences. So it's kind of like Saturn's the old man and Neptune is the hippie, druggy artist kind of person. And now with them both in Aries, this is a very specific lens. So Saturn is going to be in Aries starting May 24th, 2025. It's about a week from when I'm filming this. It will probably already have passed once you are watching this, but it doesn't really matter. This is a long-term transit. So Saturn is stationing retrograde on July 13th. It is re-entering Pisces on September 1st, and then it re-enters Aries on February 13th. So basically, it's about to enter at the end of May. It will leave Aries in September, and it will firmly enter Aries for the next 3 years in February 2026. So Saturn in Aries is about getting serious and disciplined about your individual independent will. It is about asserting your responsibility for yourself. It's about the challenges around your ego and the way you're asserting yourself. It's about putting boundaries and restrictions and pacing around your self-expression. It doesn't mean policing yourself in a way that's not authentic, but it means like growing the fuck up with the boundaries around your words and your actions. So we're going from watery Pisces and Saturn and Pisces being around kind of being more serious or applied with our beliefs in the world and understanding that our beliefs, have implications, or our faith has implications in the way that we live our life. So it's going from, Pisces to Aries, and it's kind of going from surrender to survival instead of I need to let go of things that are holding me back because they don't make sense in the way that I am living my life based on my beliefs, or fixing cognitive dissonance was kind of a theme with Saturn and Pisces. This is more like, okay, now I need to get my shit together and actually go out and act in a way that is responsible with Saturn in Aries. So boundaries and self-expression. We might also see leaders or people in positions of power being tested because Aries is such an independent sign that already, in the US, I feel like no matter, not that it's really been any different, but specifically like anyone in a position of power, I'm not actually thinking of anyone in particular, but anyone in a position of power is so tested and not taken seriously, or maybe taken seriously, but just tried and humiliated or undermined so hard to where the mere concept of authority inherently is built kind of on a mine. It's already built to explode. And so this is kind of playing into that of the testing of authority and leadership. And also in general, you'll probably find that there's a further crackdown on impulsiveness and immature actions. I have it in the kind of the notes that I wrote that you might find you're trying to sprint in a straitjacket because Saturn wants caution and Aries wants to charge ahead and have that instinct of propelling your will into the world. So this is a frustrating transit. Saturn is in its fall in Aries, which is difficult. Saturn is exalted in Libra, meaning it does very well in Libra. Saturn in Libra is okay, socially sorting this out, being fair, being judicial. Saturn loves working out social problems because being fair and responsible is praised. It's a good thing to be socially responsible. But Saturn in Aries is more difficult because it's who are you when no one's watching, and the direct consequences of your behavior are really downstream because it's who you're becoming. So that's kind of a lot to process there in and of itself. And maybe I'll do a full video on Saturn and Aries once it firmly enters next year, because this is kind of a strange video, but whatever, I like to yap. So your actions need to be sustainable and strategic on how you're asserting your will. That's the lesson there. Neptune, totally different. Neptune entered Aries on March 30th, 2025. It stations retrograde on July 23rd. It re-enters Pisces on October 22nd, and it will re-enter Aries for good January 26th, 2026. So it's already there as I'm filming it. It's going to retrograde out in October. It's going to be back in February. So Neptune in Aries, it's an overused phrase, but it fits, is a spiritual warrior. It is someone who is not being particularly dreamy. This is more divinely directed action that is kind of collectively shifting empathy into actionable identity. So I think that on one hand, you might see the romanticization of courage and rebellion, and like stories or themes of people that go into violent or impossible situations come out on the other side, you know, having healed something or saved someone. But also, like, with Neptune in Aries, I do worry about an increase in individual martyrdom, or like dying on a cross for a cause, not in a Piscean way where it's truly like, oh my God, like I'm doing so much, but like, forgive me, love me, I can do whatever I want because I'm there. There's if you've been around a Pisces, you know that there is kind of a behavior of like, I've sacrificed so much, how dare you call me out, whatever, not the video for that. But with Neptune in Aries, I think more the thing is like, no, you dead ass went to war for no fucking reason, bro. Like that kind of thing where it's more like, it's more impulsive, like testosterone-y martyrdom, where you're like, bro, you're just fucking stupid, stop it. Like, no. The illusion of strength is also something here, where the illusion of being like hyper masculine or hyper independent. We might see new spiritual movements that focus on personal sovereignty or survival, and literally like, I don't want to say Satanism kind of thing, because people call me satanic, which is so funny, because I'm like, have you actually read, you know, the like books about Satanism? Because all Satanism really is, from my reading, is just a rejection of belief systems and being like, you're here in the world, be a good person. You don't need religion. So whatever. So stuff like that, where you might find more independent movements, the blending of fantasy with conflict, or narratives used to justify wars or crusades. So be careful. I really don't like the ideological kind of underpinning of this. I do think that like when people get on a high horse that's based on spirituality or unverifiable reasons to have conflict, it just ends very badly. It's like really just wars go on forever because there's no way to verify you know what I mean? There's not like a validity that you can verify. It's powerful, but it's also dangerous because Neptune can delude, and Aries acts fast. So watch for false messiahs, for grandiose positions of leadership to take on power, performative activism, or just purely glamorize conflict. So Saturn and Neptune together will overlap for a preview from May 24th to September 1st. That is the summertime preview of this transit. Saturn and Neptune together is kind of like putting a spiritual warrior out on the battlefield and giving it an assignment, because it's this battle between realism and idealism. We're being asked to anchor dreams into action without fantasizing or falling apart for the follow through. It's about actionable, directed, spiritual motivation for things. So this is about fighting for a cause with strategy, not chaos. It's about legitimately building independent mechanisms or paradigms of your own identity, of your meaning, not meaning, because no humans have meaning or purpose in the world. I can go on an epistemological tangent with that, but I won't. But building autonomy that is meaningful to you in your life personally, and kind of dismantling this emotional Piscean dream in order to forge a more tangible, realistic, fiery, motivating vision. It can also be the collapse of old myths, false saviors, spiritual bypassing. It's a lot more active rather than bypassing, but that doesn't make it better necessarily. So if Saturn and Neptune and Pisces was an age of dreaming and romanticization of the impossible, this is a lot more about the romanticization of the brutally right there in front of you realistic. So during this preview of this summer, pay attention to anger or impatience that's arising out of nowhere when you're not getting what you want. This is a very tantrum-esque kind of energy. A pull towards asserting your own independence for literally spiritual reasons. Already with Neptune and Aries, I have found that there have been things in my life where I'm like, I do not need to fucking explain to myself. I should just be able to do what I want because this doesn't harm anyone, and I should just do my own thing here. You might have spiritual or creative ideas that feel more urgent and feel more like this. I mean, we've already seen it somewhat, but I think there's going to be a huge redirection towards authentic content, short form, immediate content, or like live recent update content. I think that a lot of Neptune and Pisces was the heavily edited, filtered, AI'd, very glamorized photos. And I know that I love watching a TikToker who like just got done with a run or got off a shower. And I know that I'm not really the example of that. I like to be very curated and everything, but that's my own thing and it's authentic. But like I'm here on camera and like I film my videos wherever. So I think that you're going to see the rise of more authentic, immediate, urgent creativity and content with these planets in Aries. So you're probably going to be fed up with ambiguity or sacrifice. This is not the like words. I get accused of word salad, which is like, fuck you, bitch. I have everything in Leo. Everything I say is precise, even if it's a lot. But like, you're going to be fed up with ambiguity or word salad. And you're probably going to want to define your boundaries, define your self-interests, and ground what you want to do in the future with daily habits now. And the last kind of danger thing with this is that Aries is the opposite of a people pleaser. Aries doesn't even see other people. Aries is like food, squirrel, poop. Like it just like not that I'm not trying to make you guys out to be Neanderthalic, but like if you know someone with a lot of Aries, they do what they want. So letting go of the people pleasing is a big element here, and honoring your own interests, but still having morals and boundaries about it. So now I'm going to get into the historical predictions for this on what we're going to see more in the world around this time. This is more general. I'll do a video more specifically going into it. I didn't want to make like an hour-long video about this, even though it's already getting kind of long. So this is more a general overview. And first I'm going to get into what happened the last time Saturn and Neptune were conjunct in Aries and why that leads to certain predictions. So Saturn and Neptune were in Aries from 1861 to 1864. The major world events during this time were obviously the American Civil War beginning in 1861, the Confederacy formed, Lincoln was inaugurated, there was a deep identity conflict over freedom/slavery going on, race, union, and this was the most defining thing that happened during that period. But the Emancipation Proclamation was also issued, which was a radical redefinition and statement around, freedom and personhood. And there were also European revolutions that were growing during this time. There were several national uprisings and redefinitions of identity in places like Italy and Germany and Poland. So that was also going on. It wasn't just the US chart being activated during that. And also during this time, which was interesting, is that photography and war reporting emerged. So public perceptions of war and identity began to shift with the visual media. So there was this kind of myth-making of heroism. So I think that the documentation and accumulation of evidence of intense, gruesome, like Neptune is the media or is a photographer. Like, I don't want to say Neptune itself is necessarily photography, but if there's a planet of photography, it's going to be Neptune because it's the encapsulation of like a moment and the glamour and allure of that, even if it's gruesome. So that is very, very reminiscent. So kind of the themes of that period were the birth of new national identities through violent rupture, the myth versus reality of war and heroism, spiritual ideas wrapped into battle cries, and also government structures rewritten around self-determination. The time before that Saturn and Neptune were in Aries was 1522 to 1525. During that period, the Protestant Reformation was gaining momentum. Martin Luther's ideas were kind of catching fire, and the printing press spreads these ideas. So there was this spread of independent thought. There was a peasants' war in Germany, which was showing like an armed uprising about religious and social reform there. Spanish conquest of the Americas was intensifying, so that was kind of at that point, representative of that. And also there were just general theological dogma challenged. There was a lot of religious crumbling during that period. So similarly, armed rebellion was fueled by spiritual and personal beliefs, and traditional authority was very dismantled. So with this being kind of said, some of the general patterns that I predict, and like I said, I'll do a full video going to exact transits, probably more so when this is like going into 2026. We can expect point blank a spiritual and ideological revolution, specifically for the US chart. Movements will probably arise claiming moral/divine justification. I think that religion, or even kind of atheistic but theology, scientific, whatever, belief systems weaponized, which could be signs of meaning that they have, or could be just dangerously delusional. Individualism is likely going to become more sacred and revered, and even though there has been probably a very justified rise of like emphasis on collectivism and community and not being so self kind of independent, I think that during this time there will be a understanding of the upsides of independence and self sovereignty and your own kind of authenticity. I understand that there are ways that this can be harmful and weaponized into extremism as well, even though I'm a hella avoidant, independent person. I'm like, yes, everyone should do their own thing. But I understand that, there's a call for community in the collective and stuff. Also, the collapse and restructuring of outdated institutions like religion, government, education systems, definitely could be restructured by idealistic but militant movements. So a thing that I think about with this is like, okay, so you want to like kill the people in power or like destroy whatever is controlling you, but have you thought about the replacement and what that might be? Not that I'm not saying people shouldn't be mad about things, but like that's what comes to mind kind of with this combination. And look for new mythologies or heroes. So kind of like in the Civil War where like generals or like presidents were revered really highly. During this time, there could be people that are revered beyond the necessary measure. Not that those people weren't, but like look for this time where public figures are rebranded as saviors or villains in an intense ideological way. So if you already have thoughts or predictions about this transit, let me know down below. I know that it is kind of intense to hear all this, but we've gone through many other transits. I have Saturn videos going back to like 2019, 2020. So we will get through this as well. And I'll make a full video dedicated to like Saturn and Neptune and everything more. I'm saying like I'll make another video, but here I am like doing the most. It's weird actually doing it here because I didn't think of this video similarly to my Saturn in Pisces or Saturn in Aquarius videos that I did, but I suppose, I guess I would have been in New York and would have been a different, I've changed the way I prepare videos and whatnot, but comment down below if you already have any thoughts about this because I'm curious what you guys are feeling because it's a very different energy. So now we're going to get into what this means for you based on your sign for the house in your chart, based on your rising sign. I have a full video explaining why I need to use the rising sign in predictions and why you should always be using it. That I can, link and everything, but you need to be going off your rising sign. So Aries risings, this is all about you. This is all about you moderating, growing the fuck up, and dedicating to a life that you are spiritually or ethically proud to live based on the way that you are asserting yourself in a mature way. Taurus rising, 12th house. That is going to be mental health and getting really serious about bettering your mental health, cutting out the addictions, the distractions, the bullshit, self-sabotage, and being empowered by either a higher power or just a wellness kind of energy in your life to enforce these rules. Gemini rising, it's your 11th house. So with groups, friends, and organizations, you could be being more selective with who you hang out with or who you associate with because you have goals of where you want your social environment to get you, and you need to be more selective about the energy that you bring in through social association. Cancer risings, this is your 10th house of career. So you are getting more responsibility and getting more on your shoulders because of a dream or a pursuit of something very important to you and meaningful to you around career. Leo risings, this is your 9th house. So you're dedicating to or taking on responsibility academically. You could be pursuing something that is a degree or a way of learning that's really meaningful to you while also being really overloaded. It could also be travel. So if you're thinking of moving abroad, this could show that you are called and compulsed to move somewhere beautiful, and it requires dedication to build whatever life you want up. For Virgo risings, this is in your 8th house of investments and financial ties. So you could be dealing with something that will eventually benefit you financially, although it's difficult now, or you could be saving and being very conservative with your money because of the thought that that will lead to something great for you one day. So difficult decisions now with money and savings, but they end up being great. For what's next? Libra risings, this is in your 7th house of committed serious relationships. So you are probably laying down the law, developing boundaries, or changing the nature of your current relationship if you're in one in order to make it more serious and with the boundaries of behavior and dreams that you have. If you're not in a relationship, this can show being selective, picky, mature, and also in line with your dreams, how you deal with people and your close relationships that are like one-to-one very close to you. For Scorpio rising, this is your 6th house. So this shows getting serious and having goals around fitness, wellness, and health. You're probably really cracking down on the lifestyle and wellness kind of regime that you want to live. It could also show that you're being more selective or specifically intense with a goal with your employees or coworkers. For Sagittarius risings, this is your 5th house of fun and creativity and dating and romantic relationships. So this can show that you are cracking down on partying, going out, having fun, promiscuous behavior. It can show a boundary on that for spiritual reasons. It can also show, on the other hand, if you don't have a problem with that, you're getting more serious about your creativity and you have a goal, and so you're being really regimented and responsible about your creative output. For Capricorn rising, rising, this is in our 4th house of home and family. So this shows getting more serious or mature about your living situation or your interactions with your family. It can also show having a goal or building up something beautiful that requires savings or effort, but around home and living situation. For Aquarius risings, this is your 3rd house. This is going to be getting serious, productive, and mature about your day-to-day writing, content, and productivity. So this is all about you having a goal, probably around content, writing, or a daily task that you want to build up that you are regimented about for the goal that you have. And then Pisces risings, this is in your 2nd house of income and money. So you are getting more serious and particularly intense about something that you're doing to make money that probably requires a lot of responsibility, effort, and maturity, but will end up being a beautiful thing in your life. So let's pull a tarot card now to see what exactly is coming up for this. Ooh, the 4 of Pentacles reversed. This is funny because I have like a thing of notes for all these cards because I don't remember shit for tarot minus like the one I have tattooed on me because I'm not a tarot girl. I'm sorry. I just can't remember shit. Greed, selfishness, and a refusal to share. Bitch, damn right. Damn right. So this is your time. You're not sharing. You're not overextending. Keep boundaries and keep yourself first. So yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed this. I hope that you enjoy this transit. I hope it's not hitting your chart too hard. It's going to be opposing my moon. Thoughts and prayers. I already know what this is though. Whatever. It's fine. It's not. I'm fine and healthy. Karma. But I'm not gonna elaborate on that. But basically, yeah. I hope that you do well. I don't have any further. I feel like I talked a lot in this video. I feel like it was informative. If you have any thoughts, let me know down below how you're feeling. And if it's your Saturn return, congrats. Maybe I'll do a full video on that. So yeah, take care. Oh, there is one.